Hello and welcome to the Heroes World Book Club. I'm your host, R2 Dre2. That's Andre of Heroes World. And today I'm joined with my crew. These are the people that I have roped into reading Star Wars Heir to the Empire, Book 1 of the Thrawn trilogy. I am joined with Jesse Rendar,
Hello.
Megan Jin,
Hi.
and Scott Solo. And tonight we are finishing Heir to the Empire, talking about chapters 20 to 32, bringing us to the conclusion of the first part of the trilogy. So hopefully you have enjoyed our content thus far and have watched the first two videos. If not, and you're here right now, maybe you need to go back and check those other two videos because they are quite entertaining. And hopefully, if you haven't read the book, you are motivated by our description and our enjoyment and enthusiasm for it to read it yourselves. This book came out years and years ago, but it is one of the best books of the Star Wars trilogy. So, without further ado, we are going to jump in where we left off. We left off at chapter 19, so we are on to chapter 20. And this was kind of a pretty cool, if you guys remember, because now it's been a couple weeks since we've finished reading the book here when we're spacing these discussions out. But if we remember, this is the first test of C-3PO acting as Princess Leia, which he definitely does not want to do. It's against his protocols, all the his core program. He just doesn't want to do it. And in his first, or maybe it's not his first test, but you can't fool Winter, who is Leia's friend and confidant, and she instantly knows something is up with our trusty droid just trying to do his best Leia impersonation. So what did you guys think about that chapter in general? Was there anything that stuck out for you? Any moments, any dialogue, situations?
I love all the
Jesse?
code talk.
Oh, yeah, yes. Scott, yeah. The code, yes. Han Solo mentions they're speaking in code, which they didn't even actually prep for, right?
Well, he does it a couple times, right? Because he does it in that conversation with Winter, but then later on, and I think it's this chapter when they're playing cards, like he throws out these numbers which are like line up with like where the ship is docked, and like somehow like all the smugglers they just kind of like link on to like, oh, something's going on here, right? Like, yeah. And it was just cool to see like some of that writing where it's like, like little like how like if the first time I read through it, I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? And then they get to the next paragraph, I'm like, oh man, well that would have gone like I am a terrible smuggler, right? Like, yeah. I would have been lost.
Well, the best part was when he was talking to Winter and he's like, oh, how's Akbar's kids? And you're like, what are they talking? I didn't even know Akbar had kids. And then, or how are the neighbors? But at least they start getting on that wavelength a little bit, so there's some information that's crossing, just in case prying ears are listening into the conversation. And instantly they know, they're like, oh, something's up. It hasn't come to a head yet on Coruscant, but definitely there's some stressors there and stuff. So I thought that was
no idea.
It just flew right over. Was it a chapter you had to read twice? You just kind of keeping
a little bit. Like I was like, at least that first
back?
part, I was like, oh wait, what? I gotta go back and they're talking. Oh, the neighbors. I get it. Yeah. Sad. I would die.
And then Lando at the end, he's like, you guys got a pretty good code. Like, did you guys work on that a while? No, not at all.
Nope. And on the fly. Han's like, I've been meaning for 3 years to actually get a code. Could you imagine how busy they would be in order to try and do that? But it was, again, it seems pretty realistic compared, like, for the whole situation, because Leia's just bouncing back and forth and doing so much that you could really believe that was, feasible. I like some of the stuff we see. Thrawn's plan starting to come together, these little bits that we saw earlier where he strikes a couple of these systems which seem at random or do not seem like important targets, right?
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, wait a minute. If all of these ships need to then be retrofitted to become cruisers, they don't have full complements of crew, and they are going to be moving to fix this system and stuff. So you're like, damn, this guy is like, we already know it, but you just keep seeing it's like we're in the dark just as much as everybody else. But now we start reading it, so you're like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. This is going right. And again, if you take your enemy, and if they don't have as many warships as you do, that's so much easier, right? So I'm like, wow, that was a pretty genius plan in the scope there. So I thought that was pretty cool, right?
Yeah,
Half the
he's
time,
sorry, go ahead.
half the time I'm rooting for the guy. I know he's bad and all, but I'm like, come on, you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely setting up his chessboard, like his pieces. He's putting them into position, and as like the reader, we're kind of just like, wait, why is he doing that? I don't
Yeah.
understand. And then you finally get the full picture, basically as you're being attacked. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I see, I get it. Okay, I'm gonna die. Got
Yeah.
it. Here's my king. Have a good one.
Yeah, have a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just
GG,
knock
no
it
re.
over for you. I'll just
Yeah.
put it over for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't come to this game prepared. Like we say, he's on chess, and we're not even checkers at this point. It's just, it's crazy but it goes to see how, like, as Timothy Zahn's writing it, like, you know, all of these things, we see the steps that are parts of his plan, but we don't see the big picture. And I don't even think Paleon does too. It's like, why do we need these mining ships? Like, why did we go here and get this? And then we'll see that later on. But even just the setting of up, like how far in advance, like this is a different type of tactical strategic thinking, you know. So I thought that was, you know, really cool to be getting that throughout the story. But now I think at this part, since we're in the last third, we're really starting to see where it's going to build up, and it's kind of frightening in a good way, right? Because I'm scared for our good guys, you know. I'm like, these guys don't think on this level at all. Like, I don't think any Imperial officer has, right? So yeah, there was so many. I felt there was a lot of great moments in this. Han and Lando back together again. You know, I thought that was really cool, even though we'd never seen them. It was just kind of like the rumors of how they would be, and this chapter to me is that payoff. You're like, yeah, these guys are just like, they're at the top of their game. They work so well together, even though they've got that kind of little bit of shall we say, not animosity, but they're always like poking at each other. Like Lando says to him, oh, you're an amateur, you beat me in Sabak, luckily you're an, and Han's like, I'm no amateur, what's going on? So it's just kind of this friendly rivalry that may have started out more serious, but they do just have each other's backs, you know. And it's like this, you get that real sense of the camaraderie through it. So I really liked how he wrote that and stuff. So yeah, pretty cool chapter, I feel, especially for like those two. I think that as the writing goes, for me anyways, certain characters shine at certain moments, right? And it's like each, and then all of a sudden a pair of characters will shine in a chapter and stuff like that. So he, again, we've mentioned it before, but he can really write these characters. Like, there's no part so far for me where I feel that the characters aren't themselves, you know. And it continues to get better as we're seeing in you know, 20 chapters in now, right? So yeah, I think that is pretty much the bulk of chapter 20. I guess you know, a little bit of recap. A lot of interesting pieces also fall into this. Is where Lando and Han are trying to meet the contact to get to Talon Card, right? So all of these pieces kind of fall in. We had that awesome distraction scene at the Sabak table and stuff, and the cheating. But I think what's interesting too is when we meet, or when there's the resolution, the Card's agent, he's like genuinely like thankful, and he's like, hey, you guys did me a solid. You know what? I'm going to do everything I can in my power to get you that audience. So it's like there's this really nice like honor among thieves, but they really feel like this, like they don't even feel like thieves. They just feel like privateers. Can we use this privateer a better word? Like they're all just like, yeah, hey, you know what? As long as you're straight with me, I'll be straight with you. And I kind of like that because we've seen a little bit of that with Talon, and this is part of Talon's crew. And he's like, hey, I know I'm not supposed to bring you guys there, but he'll understand. And I really kind of like that. This like not band of brothers, but like, you know, this band of, you know, like Robin Hood thieves. You know, it's like it's a good guild, right? So then we go to 21, right, and this is where we see back on Talon's base, right? I think they're really playing him up as an interesting character. The more I think about it, he is like a counter to Thrawn, almost as smart, but a genuine. Can we use the word gentleman? Would you say that's kind of
he's got honor.
Yeah, he has
Little bit.
very interesting morals that come out throughout the story. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's this chapter, but you're right, Megan. When it's the dinner scene where it's like they ate at our table, so they're our guests. We need to not protect them, but at least not hose them, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's well, I think we can sum that up in you know, there's a one line in it where Talon says he was my associate, and if my associate has a debt, that debt is ours, as in the association. So you're like, wow, man, this guy's, you know, it's you've got like this Jedi code. Now you've almost got like Talon Card's smuggler code. Like he's just like, you're part of my organization. I'm gonna do right by you no matter what. And this is one of those things where you know, it almost rides or chides or chafes Mara the wrong way, even though she's definitely benefited by his sense of the code. So it's almost this juxtaposition that we're getting like kind of from her. But the more I think about it, I think she's really like, we've talked about how she's a strong character and stuff like that. But I think she's kind of not challenged, but I think she's, you know, pulled in a couple of different directions. You know, she's got this sense of duty, but she also has this sense of honor, but this thing in her past that's making her be like kind of tied down or locked down or whatever. I don't know. I just really feel that she's challenged at the moment, especially in this, because, you know, she's super upset when Han and Lando come. She's like, yeah, pay them, get them on their way. Why are they here? Get rid of them. And then she's like, no, they've done right by us. I could at least hear them out, right? So it's funny to see her, you know, being this angry, but, you know, she's just so badass, you know, like Talon's like, hey, can you move the X-Wing? She's like, I could fly anything. It's almost like, shut up. I could
what
do
kind
it,
of a question? Yeah. Come on.
You know, she gets so good. And what did you guys think about the reveal at this point? When she's talking to Luke, she's, you know, the reveal is like she was at Jabba's palace. Right?
Yeah.
Did that catch you off guard? Is that where you kind of thought if they were going to insert her into the story? No, Scott shaking his head.
Only because of we had that it wasn't the flashback, but in the cave.
Yeah, it was
just skiff over the pit, and so I guess I assumed it had something, but I wasn't sure. You know.
Yeah.
Like Scott, I had this. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Jesse.
No, you go.
So I was trying to like replay the movie in my head, and I was like, was there a redhead like as a dancer? And, like I was like, God, it's been a few weeks since I've seen that movie. Like I can't remember anymore. But yeah, that's what I was, because I didn't remember any women being on the skiff, I guess, skiff or whatever it's called. So then I was like, maybe like one of the many people that were like lined the windows that were trying to look out and see. Maybe she was one of those folks. I just like, what's happening?
Peeking out
Can
the
I
window.
help? No. Okay.
Yeah, like Scott said, I kind of assumed it was Mira from the flash. What would it be called? The flashback sort of thing.
Yeah, flash vision.
Yeah,
the vision.
Yeah. I kind of assumed it was Mira, so it did kind of catch me off guard, but yeah, kind of saw it coming, I guess you'd say.
There was definitely, I think, a little bit of the foreshadowing by that, but I think this kind of confirmation, I was just like, oh, okay, so she was at the palace. I much like was thinking what Megan was saying. I'm like, did they watch the movie and just pick like a redhead that was in the background and be like, hey, there was somebody with red hair, we can write this? But there isn't. Like there's I think there's a Twi'lek with orange hair, but not quite this. And we learn more about it later on. But I really liked as this chapter moved on and Mara moves Luke to a different holding cell. We get that cool little scene of Luke not only being like, this cool Jedi and this nice guy, but all of a sudden he's pretty capable and resourceful, right? And him and R2 are almost like this dynamic duo, right? Like they're like the two of them could almost solve anything. And I thought, that was really cool. Like he's not, although he was somber in some places, it's like, oh, you put him in a scene where there's action or there's something to be done, and he's not gonna like bemoan his situation and be like, oh, woe to me, I'm stuck, I'm just gonna sit on the thing and meditate or whatever. No, he's like, okay, let's look at my options and stuff. So I really like that. And then of course they're bringing up the robotic hand being the power source and stuff, and just so so well written, like coming up with that idea. Like he didn't say, oh, with my robot hand I'm gonna punch through the side of this thing. No, he's like, okay, hey, there's this outlet and I can do this. And R2, can you help? Oh no, you got a restraining collar on, you can't do anything. Okay, but tell me how to take this battery out, because you can't. So it's again really cool use of all the characters. Like even though we don't know what R2's saying, Luke does the translation, and it just feels so much like Star Wars. I'm thinking back to on Dagobah when him and R2 are just going back and forth and stuff. So just the nice thing about the book is it does make you remember these scenes in the movies, and kind of you now have new pictures of these characters, or anyways I did. It was such a nice visual aid, so it's pretty cool.
Sorry, just also something that I noticed that Zahn was doing as we're talking about Mara and Luke is that whenever we have the perspective of Mara and she's discussing Luke, she always calls him Skywalker, but Luke will always call her Mara. So you can kind of see the difference in how they view each other. Like she obviously hates him and we still don't know why. And Card doesn't know why. And he really wants to know because he really likes information.
Yeah.
But then Luke is still like, I know this chick hates me, but I don't hate her. So like, let's continue to treat her with respect and stuff. Right. So I thought that was really interesting. Like it's characterization in a very like subtle kind of way. And I think Zahn does a fantastic job of that. So
yeah. Well, it's almost like it's just you feel every time they describe her, it's like, this burning anger that people can feel. But like you said, it's like if you hate somebody, you're not gonna do them the service of calling them by their first name. You're gonna be like, you're just like, it's the last name is like Skywalker. You're gonna like just
with a sneer.
Just grind it in, and then she makes Jedi sound like an insult. She's like, Jedi.
like a dirty word.
Yeah, like a dirty word. Yeah, so it's pretty. Yeah, it's again the right language, the right tone from these characters and stuff, right? So into 22, like, and this is a nice stretch of the book, because I think these 3 or 4 chapters we're all on at Talon's base, right? So we're getting a sense of the scope of the operation and how things are laid out. Numerous landing pads, area to hide ship the size of the Millennium Falcon, and have a couple of blaster boats and stuff like that. So this is not a small place. Like this is his sanctuary hideout and stuff. And we get that. It's funny, like, this is, I think, now Han's second time doing the pitch. He's probably feeling like a traveling salesman. He's like, okay, so hear me out. You can go legit and just forget smuggling, and we're gonna pay you a fair and honest wage. And there's one part where Lando goes to he goes, I can vouch for Captain Solo's integrity and honesty. And at that point, I picture Talon like spitting out his drink. It's like, Captain Solo, integrity, honesty, are those the right words you want to bring up and stuff? So again, it's just really cool. Like they're painting these pictures, and you can see, you can literally see Harrison Ford doing that hurt face, you know,
Yeah.
just like, oh, what? Like, who you calling scruffy looking, you know, like it's just like so many cool moments. And then it's funny because at that moment when Talon points out about Solo, I instantly thought, is this the pot calling the kettle black? Because Talon's got a whole smuggling organization. He's definitely done some shady things and stuff like that because he's going to play both sides off. But I'm just like, okay, Talon, come on, don't come off holier than Han Solo. All right, you've been there and done some things. At least Han's a changed man. You know, he's an honest man now. He's going to be a father. Let the guy be a good guy now. You know. So I thought that was really cool. Again, we mentioned earlier talking about the honor among thieves and stuff, and it's like pretty cool seeing the Slicer. What was his name? Gent or Gent? Ghent.
I think it's Ghent.
Yeah, and he's got this like, you know, he's excited to meet Han Solo, and he's like, "Oh my God, you did this, and your reputation precedes you." And all of a sudden, like these characters don't know each other, but I can think they've kind of got this shared experience, and since they're not all, they might be entrepreneurs in quotes and doing stuff for money. They're not bad, vicious guys. They're not the Hutts. They're not, the Black Sun. They're not crime organizations and stuff like that. So I really like how they really feel like privateers as opposed to guys that you'd say bad guys. You know, so
it's like a brotherhood almost, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody's working with everyone and doing what they can. Like a brotherhood. Even they accept Han and Lando into it too, right? Because I think they were given 15 minutes to talk to Card.
Yep.
And then like 2 hours flew by,
Yeah.
right? So they're all getting to know each other, all having laughs about their past. Too.
Yeah, it's like honestly, it's like they instantly kind of have this trust. Like it's like even though they would definitely have heard each other by reputation, it's a different thing to sit at the table and be face to face and be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to give these guys the time of day. And he definitely heard out his whole scheme, asked them questions, and then he's still like, yeah, no, I think I can make more money elsewhere, or this might not be for me, or I can't get entangled with the Republic while I'm neutral with the rebellion. So that was Talon's basically
it's almost like they're
answer.
Celebrities too, Han and Lando, because the Slicer before was asking him about the card game where Han won the Falcon. He's like, yeah, I know every detail, but I just wanted to make sure you guys are who you say you are. Yeah. And then the Slicer, when he's talking to Han, it's like he's meeting a celebrity that he's always wanted to meet, right?
Yeah, it's got some hero worship there, right?
Yeah.
So
well, there's a lot going on in this chapter, but my favorite part was kind of that lore dump of like, you won the Falcon, playing, and then when they, he's like, they took over the pirate ship and then they gave it to the slaves, and Han was like, oh well, how Chewie feels about like slavers, and I don't like, because there's a ton going on in this chapter. That was like my favorite part, just like, Zahn putting in a little bit of backstory just to add to those characters that we already love. Like, it was.
And the thing is, sometimes books or movies can ride too much on the predecessor, but this just feels like a kernel or a seed or something that's just enough to be like, to kind of remind you and keep it and saying, yep, this fits into what we're doing, and hey, I want you to be thinking of this in your mind of Star Wars. And I think again, it's how he's done it in this particular trilogy, I think is really, really phenomenal. So I can't stress that enough. So this chapter, like Scott said, lots goes on. We know that Luke is on this planet. We know that Han shows up because he helps Talon's agent, and then Thrawn shows up. Wow. Hail, the gang's all here, right? So you're just, all of a sudden, you're like, okay, how are they going to get out of this one? And instantly you see a little bit of that cool facade that Talon Card has just starts to melt away. He's just like, oh crap, they called my private line. Now I'm seeing Thrawn for the first time on the view screen, and they described those beady red eyes, or the glowing red eyes, not beady, sorry, and stuff. And you honestly get this really intense, like you could tell that that's almost like move, counter move, like they're playing that, like it's like a dance, but a vicious, and you're like, and there's that one misstep that Thrawn picks up on.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, what do you mean the search is over?
Yeah.
And then Talon instantly, he was quick on his feet. He's like, well, he's in an X-wing. His oxygen ran out, dude. Like, that's what, like, he can't be alive. And then Thrawn's like, no, Jedi can do this. He's like, oh, I didn't know a Jedi could do this. Like, oh yeah, you're right. A normal person wouldn't know a Jedi. So it's almost like he got out of it, but you're like, damn, man, that's some different type of verbal sparring going on there, right? You're just like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
It's just super, super cool, right? What did you guys think about when Mara, at this point now, she's pissed at Card, right? And I'm just like, whoa. At that point, I'm like, is she gonna take his orders? You know, it's just like it was pretty. It was written that, and again, maybe I was just, because of the tension of the whole scene, I was just like, I felt she was, because before she had kind of politely talked up. She's like, hey, I've got some ideas how to change things, or, we should do. But this time she's just like, no, you need to do this now, or sell them out to the Empire or whatever. And Talon's like, we don't have a bargaining position. If we give them up now, we're not getting the value. So Talon, I think, kind of gives very valid reasons, but at the same time, did you guys get the sensation that it was maybe panic on Mara Jade's behalf at this point?
Oh, for sure. She doesn't want to lose her status again, right? Like, she worked her way up from 0 with Card, and now she's his second hand, and she's already lost so much in her past that she doesn't want to lose it again. And she's conflicting: do I do this? This is what I would have done, or do I do what Card wants me to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it shows the tension within her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she wants to stay in her position and use that positionality to continue to do things, but she also doesn't want to lose the chance to potentially kill the person that she thinks destroyed her life.
Yes.
See,
Right?
that's the part I got. I thought, like, she's like, oh man, I'm losing my chance to get, Skywalker. And I kind of thought, reading the chapter, I'm like, when she's going to get him, I kind of thought that was going to be a conflict moment, like where she was like, screw it, I'm gonna take him out here because this is my chance. But he's already gone, so it's like, but I thought that was going to be the ultimate sort of showdown, But obviously it went a little bit of a different direction.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, because I instinctively remember reading the book, and it's like she's going one way, and then all of a sudden she's like, she stops and then decides to go right that way. I'm like, oh my god, is she gonna try and off the prisoner? And then we get the great moment of Luke picks the best moment to steal a ship and get away. Like, what a great, tension, moment. You got the Star Destroyer coming down. You've got them rushing to hide the Falcon. Mara Jade's going to, secure him, or to secure the lightsaber. I think at that point she was going to go and hide the lightsaber. And then Luke takes off in the ship. And you're like, wow, can anything else at this point go wrong for poor Talon Card? You're like, he's got the guy that the Empire wants, and he hasn't told him he's got it. He's got 2 high-ranking Republic officials trying to make a deal for his ships. And then they arrive to get those Lasmari, however you pronounce it. And it's just like, wow, like literally all that could have happened was maybe like an eclipse or something, just some random something. And it's so funny. So that's the end of that chapter. Great, Mara Jade jumps into the other blaster boat. We're into chapter 23. The chase is on. We've got Luke in a heavily armored, slow or not a ship he's used to flying, right? And he's trying to learn the controls, trying to stay low because he now sees the Star Destroyer, and now he's like, oh, maybe they were coming for me, so I picked a good time, and I outrun them in this ship. And he's like, I don't know, but there's another one coming barreling down at me. I love the line right at the beginning of the chapter. He's like, oh, this ship is kind of sluggish and slow, heavily armored. But if I had enough time, I could master it. And then at that moment, he's like, holy crap, the person behind me definitely knows how to fly this, because I feel like them coming up must be Mara Jade. So he's instantly thinking that the only person who's going to pursue and take those risks, low flying and the tree line and stuff like that, is Mara Jade and stuff. And the cool thing is, though, I think there's that little bit of a moment where Luke is still that, bright-eyed kid. He's like, well, maybe when they moved me to the shed, Talon wasn't going to give me up. So maybe he's not so bad. And like Luke's still thinking that, this guy, like he's locked him up and all this stuff. And you're like, come on, Luke, just people can be bad,
Poor Luke.
Yeah.
Poor naive Luke.
Yeah, a little bit of naivety and stuff there, right? So now we get the kind of that imperial showmanship of the Empire coming down, and Thrawn and Talon Card scoping each other out. Like this is their meeting, and they're really at this moment. It's like, very civil, almost too civil. Like I felt it was like a fake level of civility. Like he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't put up a better show in short notice," and Thrawn's like, "Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you." So it's funny because at this moment, you guys have all watched Rebels, right?
Yes.
In any point of reading Thrawn when he says "pleasure to meet you," did you almost hear it in the Thrawn voice from Rebels?
I always hear his voice.
Yeah.
It was in Rebels.
Yeah, I always because I knew him from Rebels first, and then I read him in this book, so I always hear the voice in my
Okay, because for me, I hear a more stern version of his voice, like a more like how could I say it? Like somebody who's arrogant, like an arrogance to it, and always. Whereas in Rebels, he kind of sounds like he's just, I just need to educate you. He seems more like very very pleasant, and then not angry. And this I always think of him as under the collar anger that doesn't boil over until when it does, and it comes out. But in this moment, I felt that he was being like, he's like, okay, I've got to put on the white gloves and be a nice guy. Like I wrote it down. I feel that Thrawn's playing nice, but he's not nice at all. Like he doesn't have any meaning to be like. So what? Like how is that? Because you guys, I guess, have watched Rebels first before reading it. Do you picture him more like the Rebels version, or do you find this version different?
I find this version a lot different, actually. He's more cold, more maniacal, more evil, I guess you'd say. Smarter, too. Like in Rebels, I don't think he ever put a plan together the way he puts one of these plans together. There's not so many threads he's pulling on all at once. It's just, we got to do this, and this is what we're going to do, and if it fails, we'll move on. Yeah. This one, he seems like a real genius, a real evil genius.
Yeah, evil genius. Yeah, yes, definitely. Megan, anything to add for that, or?
I don't think what he sees, what he's doing, is evil. That's the thing. I think what he's doing is this is what I need to do to help the Empire to succeed. And to him, it's not evil. It's just, I'm making these moves. They're calculated. They all have a purpose. Sometimes it's to have people fear me. Sometimes it's to have people respect me. But either way, like, none of the stuff that I'm doing is for my own personal gain. It's literally for the Empire, and that's the goal. And I think in terms of me remembering him from Rebels. In Rebels, it was like you said, he was like cool, calm, and collected, but also educaty. And I think I feel like he like turned it on a little bit near the end of Rebels when he started to get beaten a little bit.
Yeah.
Where you could see it come out a little bit more. But I'm still picturing, like when I read this, I'm still picturing him from Rebels just saying the words in like a cool, calm, collected kind of way, but just cold. Like you can tell that there's no caring. It's just this is the way it has to be.
Yeah.
Get on board or go away.
Well, I was going to say he doesn't see himself as a bad guy. He's bringing order to like the galaxy, right? Like, now granted, it may not be the order everyone wants, but it's like Thanos, right? Like he's gonna make the galaxy a better place because he's gonna get rid of half people. Like, sort of a bad thing, but like, it kind of makes sense. This is like, there's gonna be order, there's gonna be rules. We're gonna get this thing organized.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm going to be at the top and I will rule with utmost authority, but like,
it's not genocide because it's random.
Yeah, so good. So in this particular chapter for me, this is chapter 23 again that we're talking about. I really love it because there's that, shall we say, I don't want to say it's called the Star Wars method or whatever, but it's another example of how we're following three different groups of people all at the same place, but all doing something different. So we've got the Luke and Mara in the chase, and then the chase ends in a crash, and then you've got Thrawn and Talon Card, and they're talking, and then we've got Han and Lando hiding out trying to gather information. So it's really cool how he jumps to each one of these groups of people. You get more and more information, and the stories kind of just goes through it and flows through it evenly, and it's so well interweaved. Like, you get like Thrawn's like, oh, don't worry about sending a crew because we'll do that for you, and it's like Talon's like, no, and then Thrawn's like, no, we insist, as in there's no talking that. He's like, I'm gonna do this, and then he's like so clear. He's like, find the survivors and bring me anything that would normally not be on a blast report. Like, this guy doesn't miss like anything, and he just takes in the whole map. He's so observant and stuff. So I really thought that's like, again, a great chapter for that, for juggling all those characters, but getting them all where they need to be and feeling right. Like, it just feels like it's not forced at all. And then of course, when when Luke tries his maneuver and fails, and they crash, and then he wakes up, what does Luke do?
Saves her.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He's
not gonna let her burst into flames and be like, peace.
Yeah. See you later. Yeah,
she hasn't really wronged him yet. Like, obviously he has wronged her in her eyes. She hasn't done anything bad, so it's not like he's gonna leave her in like a burning ship to explode. He's gonna drag her out, right? Like, I mean,
I think he wants to know what he's done too.
Yeah,
I think that's playing at the back of his mind.
He's
like,
a little selfish,
right?
He's a little selfish. What did he do? I gotta know.
And being Mara Jade, what does she do to Luke at this moment? Yeah,
she's so mean.
Yeah.
Surprise!
But she knew that he was going to come, and she was like, I'm ready. I'm just waiting.
Yeah. Give me that lightsaber, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, whoops. All right. So Luke, being Luke, gets duped. And then we're on to chapter 24. And now this is the aftermath now. Thrawn has apparently taken what he's needed to take. He is leaving the planet, and now we have Han confronting Talon, saying, "Hey, you're in bed with the Imperials. What were they doing here?" And it's like, "Hey, no. I could have turned you over. So let's have this hospitable conversation now." And now they're both kind of chests are up. They're a little bit on the defensive, both of them. And I thought that was a really cool cool dialogue and moment. Again, I'm really liking Han Solo in this. I think he's coming across. We're seeing so many very cool sides of Han. He's probably, in my opinion, like the most complex character we've got from the original cast. In my opinion, I just loving him. You know, but at the same time, as much as I'm really digging Han, like Talon is like, you know, at this point we see that he's true to his word and his honor. Like he's honor bound, and he's like, you know, hey, I gave my word to you as my guests. You, like Scott said, you broke bread with me. You're at my table. You're under my roof. That means you're under my protection no matter what. And I'm like, yo, that's really, really cool. But at the same time, he's not going to be foolish about it because he still keeps his cards close to his chest. Han says, hey, so this Grand Admiral, can you give me his name? No, not now. That information is valuable, right? It's
not for sale at the moment.
Not for sale at this moment, right? So he's still like, I'm gonna use the word entrepreneur. He's still looking out for his organization, right? But the cool thing is in this chapter, now that everything comes to it, the loaf cat is out of the bag that Luke was here. And then all of a sudden, Han and Lando, the guns are out. They figured out that Luke was being held prisoner. And now Talon's got a lot to answer for, but he does answer it pretty well. Like it was just, he kind of deflects. He's like, what do you want me to say? Luke Skywalker was here? Oh, okay, Luke Skywalker was here. But again, I didn't turn him over to the Empire. So, you know, there's that. And then it goes on. And then while that's happening, Thrawn, man, like again, give this guy 2 clues, he's gonna figure it out. Give him 2 clues and a situation, and he puts 2 and 2 together. He's just like, all right, this is what we saw happening. This is what Talon told us. Hey, did anybody send a radio message? Nope. Then that means it could be this. Like, I love reading how he put it together because technically those pieces were all there. Yeah. We're reading the book and we're thinking, how is he going to put this in? But he does it. And it's just like, you're like, yeah, I kind of believe that he could do it. You know, like as he said, he's a genius.
Makes sense, right? Like we talked about that. I forget on, you know, either last time or the time before. It's like, is Thrawn too much, right? Like, is it just like, oh my gosh, like he knows everything? Like, but the way it's written and the way he pieces it together, like you just, like, I'm kind of jealous. It's like, why can't I figure that out, right? Like, and you have a chance to figure it out. Like you said, all the pieces are there. So for him to figure it out, it puts him again on another level, right? And so it does make sense. It's a tad annoying, like just but I like it because it's like it gives you the thrill of the hunt, right? Like he's still like a half step ahead. And I think for the bad guy, like at least for most of the story, that's what you want.
Well, exactly, and it's almost like you said it best, because sometimes in books, you know, the villain just knows things, and you don't know how they got to that conclusion. But in this, like, you just get the feeling that, you know, Thrawn doesn't sleep, like he's just so observant, you know, and but he can just like weigh all of the information, and certain things, you know, he'll deduce from it, and more often than not he's right. But it's like, hey, at least they're putting that methodology and we can follow along, right? So you go, oh, okay, yeah, it's not just you finish the mystery book and you're like, I don't know how the detective or whoever solved it, right? It's right there, and you're just like, yeah, he's laid all the breadcrumbs for us. Thrawn just only needs 2 breadcrumbs to figure it out or to get where he's going, right? So, any other cool things that you guys noticed for chapter 24?
So I liked that. Sorry, I liked that. Even though Thrawn seems to be like slightly omniscient, where he can just figure everything out, he still underestimates Luke's Jedi abilities, right? And I think that's really cool because it shows that he's not perfect. It shows that he's not entirely omniscient. And he can't actually see everything. And despite failing against Luke previously, he hasn't been like, well, I think we should like send more people. Nah, What we have should be fine. That'll be good enough. So I thought that was cool.
Was this the chapter where Luke sends the message to his X-Wing?
Yes.
Yeah, I found that very clever too, because he wants Mara to keep him, not kill him. So he's like, well, R2's not going to do it if I'm not here. So if you want that message getting to him, you got to keep me alive. It just
that was really cool. And I did like the scene where they were in the jungle, the trouble in the jungle, where the Voskners, the
Vronskers.
Yeah,
Vronskers.
those things. Did you notice in that chapter, like Luke's not armed, Mara Jade's armed, so she's kind of the threat, but they keep just going for Luke, right? So it's really weird. Like this planet has definitely a hard-on for the Force. It's going to negate the Force, and these monsters are going to try and attack anything that I know the Force is negated in you, but I'm going to still go at you. It's just like, what's going on, right? And we saw that with Alan's
that quote in the video.
Hard on for the Force.
Yeah, there we go. That's the name of the video. Oh man, too good. But that's so yeah. There's lots going on. Like again, these chapters, he really picks up the pace, and it was page turning reading. Like as you're going through, but you know, as much as we talk about Talon Card's honor and kind of this noble character, there's one moment that just really struck me as, hey, this guy does have a killer instinct or whatever. He says, I think he's talking to one of his men. He's like, hey, if we can't save Luke from the stormtroopers, we can't let the Empire have him to know that he was here. We'll kill him. We're gonna kill him ourselves. And at that point, he says it, and his lieutenant is like, oh man, you know what? The crew's really gunning. They want to get Luke because, you know, hero of the Republic and hero of the rebellion, and you know, he got a lot of us out of underneath Jabba's, you know, heel. And Talon's like, yeah, but I if I got to stamp that down so that Thrawn doesn't think we were in on this, I'm gonna do it. So it's like all of these things, but the most important thing is, I guess, his direct crew and the organization. So no matter how much, you know, he seems, I don't want to use the word altruistic, but no matter how much he seems good, like there is that I am going to do whatever is necessary. And it's just like, whoa, man, that's I think that was the first time that element came out. So that really shocked me. So that was 4 chapters, boom, 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 right on Talon's base. Then we shift gears and we jump across the galaxy, and we're on the home planet of the Wookiees. This is chapter 25, and we are back with Leia and her 3 protectors. This chapter I like to call "No, There Is Another." That great line from Empire where Yoda is talking about, yes, if Luke fails, there's another potential Jedi, and that's Leia, and she takes center stage in the next couple of chapters. And boy, were they pretty awesome, because this is the first time we see her wielding her lightsaber in an actual combat situation and stuff. We are once again that she is pursued by the gray-skinned Nagari, and this one was just a super interesting battle in her sleeping chambers or whatever. Here she is thinking, yep, you know what, I gotta leave. I've got to leave because we're getting too comfortable here. Let's go. And she can't sleep. She's kind of restless, and she goes to turn on the light. Could you imagine? You go to turn on the light, and something grabs your hand right out of that. Like, talk about panic inducing. But again, she's like, instinct takes over. She does a little self-defense, flips the guy, then grabs her lightsaber, no hesitation. I love that. I love that, you know, what little training she's had. She's like focused out and stuff like that. No hesitation. She's just like, damn, I got to protect myself. Such a cool, quick couple of pages. But what did you guys think of the next so she offs one guy, gets into a tussle with another. Jesse, what happens when she tussles with the other guy?
Doesn't he smell her and realize that her father is Darth Vader, the guy who saved their homeworld?
I titled this chapter "Smells Like Vader."
It smells like Vader.
That's
Yes, but how? Like, okay, so now I'm gonna go around. Scott, when that moment happened, what went through your mind at that point?
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want to know what Vader smells like now. But I get it. It was a little bit more. It's a little more high level than that. But that was the absolute first thing that crossed my mind. But part of me was like, again, it's kind of like that coincidence that we keep talking about, like where it's just like, because how lucky, right? Because she's kind of on the ropes a little bit, right? And then all of a sudden, like it's like, oh, like she got like a get out of jail free card. So I was shocked.
Yeah, same. Like as soon as when he started smelling her, I was like, that's really weird.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, really weird.
Why do you have somebody in a headlock and just take a nice inhale? That's terrifying. Yeah. Can you imagine if somebody had you in a headlock and they're like, just pause 1 second, I just need to get this.
That's like Buffalo Bill stuff from Silence of the Lambs, right? Like
it's creepy. It was creepy. And then when he was like, you smell like your father, it's like that's a stench. Like that must carry generational smell. Damn.
For sure. And especially like if you picture the scene, it's like she's literally in this, like she can't move chokehold. She's got his arm around, he's got her leg pinned, and then they describe his
nostrils, like
the nostrils and the teeth from his protruding jaw, like in her flesh. But then, again, it's super descriptive. Then he just stops and goes totally still and kind of just unhands her, and she's like, okay, what's gonna happen now? I don't have my lightsaber. What is he going to do now? And then the Wookiees come in, right? Mm-hmm. And Chewbacca like is going for like the coup de grace, the I'm gonna knock you out, and she's like, don't kill it, and then Chewie's just like, okay, I'll just knock it unconscious.
Okay,
no problem.
Yeah, I'm just gonna club it down.
Yeah. He selected feather touch instead of
instead of like lead hammer. Lead hammer, yeah. So that was a cool moment. And again, all of a sudden it takes this scene of action and it quickly turns it into a scene of intrigue, but we can't even focus on that because more of them are coming. Unfortunately, Chewbacca's childhood friend Salporin has been murdered, which was it was very sad. We didn't even really get to know him, but I was just like, oh man, that really sucks because you just got the sense of the importance of that character and Chewie, like, man, what a trooper Chewie is. Like he gives up his home world and he's got this life debt and he gets back, and the one time he gets back to his planet, could you imagine you meet your friend and they they just are hanging out again, and then god damn these gray-skinned bastards come in and just break that up. So that kind of really sucked. But the rest of that battle, how cool was that? Like Leia again thinking on her feet. She's like, okay, I'm gonna go by myself. They want me alive, and then Ralra's like, nope, we're in this together. We go together. They figure out this plan. They're still getting chased. Another amazing use of the lightsaber. Jesse, how did you like that one?
Sorry, I'm still trying to figure out what Leia smells like. Is it
cinnamon, paprika, and peppermint.
So does Vader smell like that, or does she smell like toasted marshmallows?
Oh,
It's like a medicine smell to him, right? He's like a ventilator.
And he's all burnt. He's probably got to put ointment on and stuff.
She didn't have very much interaction with him. Like, it's not like she grew up with the guy, right? It was just that I forgot you, and she was like, "That I don't like you.
Yeah,
please leave me alone."
But we were talking about the when they're on the climbing underneath the city, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that lightsaber move where she had it tied to a rope and swung it back and just took them all out.
Took them all
Amazing.
out, you know.
That was
all in one go.
Skywalker's doing what need to be done. So yeah,
Who taught her that?
The lightsaber is a ranged weapon now. I thought it was melee. Like I just
hey, a Jedi has everything they need. It's a tool. It's a multi-purpose tool. You know, in the right hands. Right,
Yeah.
It can do anything. So
Slice your bread, slice a person, cut up like many things.
It's awesome. Yeah. So again, what a cool
shape
chapter
with it,
and
Real
Lady
careful.
Vader, Lord Vader, and Lady Vader. I'm like that had a nice
Lady Vader.
nice touch. Yeah, that was pretty cool. All right, yeah, chapter 25, super exciting. Chapter 26, man, this was a heavy chapter. If you guys recall this one, this is the info dump on Mara Jade and the Hand of the Emperor. Wow, what a title! Like, holy smokes. All right, so let's go. I'm gonna start with Jesse. What were your thoughts and feelings on this chapter? Because this one I think was the part of that showstopper. You're like just reading it and you hit this wall. You're like, what? Like,
this was the reveal, right? So everything
Mhm.
makes sense now. We know why Mara hates Luke so much. It's because she lost everything to him. She was I would second in command, third in command after Vader, according to Palpatine, right? And then it was all taken.
Second. Maybe.
Second,
Like
she was his
second,
hand.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
she
the
got
glove
things
hand.
done. She was the how she described it. She's like, you know, somebody needed to be talked to, killed, motivated, disappear. Like she did everything.
Yeah.
Like on the official Death Star org chart, I think Vader was number 2, right? But like on the secret org chart, she's number 2.
Yeah.
But it was great. So she lost everything. The Emperor kept her a secret. So when he died, she also died, right? She had to give up everything and start anew. And it wasn't fair to her that Luke did all this, right?
Yeah.
Inadvertently. But...
Yeah, inadvertently. Not meaning to do it purposely to her, but just, you know, cause and effect and stuff. Megan, anything to add? What when you felt it? What did you feel when you read that chapter?
I identified very strongly with her. I was like, I understand how somebody can come in and like ruin your life and not even know, right? Because that was the other thing. Like, he ruined her life. She hated him with a vengeance. He was like, who are you? You know, like that's gotta be just like a kick in the chest when you're already down.
Yeah.
So when her story came out, I was like, damn, that is badass. And also like, girl, you angry. Like, I can see why you're so mad. My God, to have that much power, but then never have anybody know about it. So therefore you can't return to that.
Yeah.
And like, what's the point of going back to the Empire now? Because who would she be? Nobody. Right. And like, yeah, no, I thought it was really cool when Zahn tied it all together. I was like, damn, that's some good writing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very invested in her character now.
Nice. Scott.
Yeah, I kind of think like if I could be someone in this universe, I mean, Han Solo, like, just he's dope, man. Like, I would love, but like if I was a bad guy, like I would want Mara's job. Like second, like, you know, the Hand of the Emperor, like. Yeah, I mean, you don't need the public power, but like clearly, like if she went after you, you knew, like, oh man, I'm gone, or I did something really bad, right? Yeah. Like to be kind of like the fixer, like that would be a cool job. That'd be my job. That's what I want my job to be.
Yeah, and I felt like one of the coolest things that they added to it in this description, that she said that no matter where the Emperor was, she could communicate to him and he could communicate to her. So I'm just like, holy smokes. Could you imagine having an agent with no like distance or there will be no mixed messages, because he is just telling her, just like, do this or get this done, go here. I'm like, wow. So she is like yeah, Vader was the face of fear, but she was probably like, again, the hand, like that was the Emperor could reach out and touch anybody, anywhere, any when through her, right? And I thought that was just, yeah, it was wow,
The other
just
part of that like lore
heavy.
dump though was that she kind of said like when Vader made that sort of half offer to like, hey, join me and we'll overthrow the Emperor, and Luke was like, yeah, kind of saw it as like a, and she was like, no, the Emperor saw that as a real thing, and
Yeah,
that's why, like, that was kind of like, oh wow, like he kind of knew, he knew that he kind of knew he had to get rid of Vader maybe at some point.
for sure. And that's interesting because um in the comic books that Marvel has done, there's been 2 Darth Vader series, and you really see the Vader and Emperor kind of that the Emperor's always keeping keeping Vader off, like off kilter, like he's always challenging him and pushing him and stuff, so much so that it's like just keeping Vader off his foot so he can't amass power, right? So it's a very interesting read. If you anybody out there, yeah, I highly recommend the 2 Darth Vader series by Marvel. They were fantastic reads, and really good art too. So yeah, chapter 26 was just heavy. I remember after reading that, I just like, yeah, I need to take a break and just process that, and I'm gonna come back. And then 27, it's one of the shorter chapters, again after such a lengthy one, but an important one, because again we're getting the piece of the puzzle now. We're seeing Thrawn's plan. He's putting things into motion. The one of the items that they found and created and made from the Emperor's secret facility was a cloaking device. And they test that device, and it's a positive test, so that it functions as they want it to. And then we know that the attack is just around the corner. They're prepping for that. Basically, Thrawn's moved all the pieces, and everything is coming kind of to this, to this head. And we keep talking about just how well it's written and how easily it flows. And because of the maneuver of the Republic ships, we get Wedge Antilles drawn in to escort duty, and he's like, why am I escorting freighters? He says, this is beneath Rogue Squadron. Rogue Squadron is the elite of the elite. They're saying, listen, man, we're run thin. If I've got to pilot a warship as a freighter at less than half, you just got to do your job to the Emperor, to the Republic and stuff. And he's like, yeah, but again, now you're putting all these pieces going towards to the confrontation. So it's so good. You're salivating at this point reading it. You're like, oh man, the battle's coming. Rogue Squadron's getting teed up. Gonna have the cloak ships. What's going on? And then we see later on in chapter 28, we've got all of the other pieces start moving through. Right, they're slowly the trap that Thrawn left on Talon's base world to hopefully catch whoever. Like, he doesn't know it's Luke Skywalker at this point, and Mara Jade, but it's like he suspects it. So it's like, yeah, let's leave 3 divisions of stormtroopers, or anyways, enough stormtroopers that Paleon's like, we usually don't leave that many. Like, this is getting expensive. Are you sure? Like, are you sure he's there? Because it's an awful lot of resources to commit. But yeah, Thrawn's right. Lucky at this point, Mara Jade knows their tactics and everything. And the communication message gets through. So they got a pretty cool plan. R2 came through. R2 and C-3PO get the plan out. So yeah, so this is it's pretty cool, I think, because we see still that Mara's got such anger, and she just doesn't want to go with the plan. She's like, well, that's convenient. Yeah. Right. I'm going to give you this blaster. And he's like, well, if you give it to me with no, blaster pack or ammunition, what's the point and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just like, she just doesn't want to give like anything. Like, she's done everything to not give in. Like, she's taken the stim so she doesn't sleep. Like, zero trust for Luke Skywalker. And like I said, Luke's just been everything but kind. He's the kindest prisoner at this point. It's almost like, you go to sleep, I'll watch myself on, like, I won't leave. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you sleep, I'll just sit here with R2, like, trust, it's so funny, but she's just adamant, and we see that almost cost them when she's on the stims and she doesn't react fast enough, and Luke and R2 end up saving her and stuff. But now they're coming towards, they've got to get past the blockade, and they do it quite smartly, right? Mara again knows the flora and fauna of this planet, gets a pretty good disguise for Luke. He gets allergic reactions to this plant, puffs out and stuff like that.
I mean, let's be clear, that's the most passive aggressive thing, right? Like, all right, here's the gun, here's the lightsaber, here's your disguise, this burny, itchy rash that will swell up.
Yep. So that you're gonna maybe be slowed down and stuff. And poor Luke tries like a Jedi healing technique to ease the pain. Nope, that did nothing. He still can't feel the Force at this point on this planet and stuff. So again, there's one interesting thing that jumped out for me at this chapter as I was thinking, especially after the previous chapter with Mara Jade, and they described how Mara Jade was so tied to the Emperor and in the thought process, and it was just a thought, so I just want to get your guys' feedback on it if you think it has any merit. But do you think that Mara needs a strong figure to attach herself to? Because, again, the Emperor, she's got power through him. But then, at the same time, now that she's second in command to Talon, it's the same thing. He's the powerful source, and through him, she has power.
I don't know that she needs to attach herself to somebody. I think it's what she's comfortable doing, and it's what she knows how to do quite successfully.
Yeah.
And in this situation where she's with Luke, like, you can tell that she doesn't want to give up her positionality of power, like, at all. She doesn't at all. So that's something that's very difficult for her, because he rendered her so powerless for so long. Right. And so now she's and so now she's finally gotten power, is specifically over him in this specific moment. So for her to willingly give that up, that's really, really hard for you. It's not just about like, oh, this is a good plan, like, we need to do this to survive. It's son of a diddly. Like, I worked so hard to do this. I want to do that. But yeah, I don't think she needs to. I think it's just what she knows how to do.
Yeah. That's a better way of putting it.
I think she likes the power. She just doesn't want to be the one calling the shots.
Yeah.
The big shots, right? Like, she likes being the second in command because she's still got the power, but she doesn't have to make the hard choices. She just, oh, you want this guy dead? I'll go kill him. Oh, you need this information? I'll go get it. Right?
Interesting. So at this point now that we know exactly what Luke has done to her, why do you think she doesn't just pull the trigger? Because she could get revenge on him and blame it on the jungle. She could, there's so many things that she could at this point do. Do you think it's that sense of obligation / duty? Because Talon doesn't, he's valuable to Talon and the organization. Thus, that would be like a betrayal to him. But it's also part of her goal, like her I'm sure it crossed her mind saying, hey, if I'm with this organization, I may run into Luke Skywalker and be able to get my revenge.
I feel like she has like a plan. Like, I feel like it's like she's setting up for like that perfect first kiss, right? Where you like, or like the first time, like, you do it, right? Like the candles are lit and the music is playing. Like, she has I went deep there. She has like a plan, and this is not it. And so I think she wants to get him, but she doesn't want to just blast him in the back, like in a forest. Like, there's like, I feel like there's like more theater involved, and this isn't the setting. Like, that's a sense.
That's a good reason. I never thought of it that way, but a lot of times you have the adversaries wanting revenge on their terms. They just don't want the person to fall out of a tree or hit by a bus or something. They want to be the instrument of it. Okay, yeah. Jesse, did you have a different take on that, or?
Yeah, same sort of idea. She wants to watch him suffer a little bit, just like shaking his boots a little bit before
Yeah.
she springs the trap, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's very short-sighted. If she were to shoot him in the back, the repercussions would ripple through every organization, right? And she's thinking, Card told me to do this for a reason. I gotta keep him alive for a reason, even though I want to kill him.
Yeah, maybe she at this point might be thinking maybe she can't think clearly enough about Skywalker to see the bigger picture that Talon is maybe kind of referring to. Of course, she understands kind of, you know, the business and the value of it, but she also, or Talon also, wants to know why the Empire and Thrawn want him. So therefore, that bit of information, maybe she's like, okay, let's get that, and then once we have that information, I can hopefully get my my revenge. So yeah, so super cool. So and also in chapter 28, we have Talon's people setting up for the rescue by inserting Han Solo to the stormtroopers and saying, hey, this guy was also looking for these people. You might want to take him in. And the stormtroopers, just Imperials in perfect form. Okay, fine, another prisoner. Yeah, we'll take him. Oh, if there's a bounty on this guy, we'll see that you get your cut. And they're like, yeah, whatever. But again, a very cool kind of insertion of the plan. And then we later find out that, you know, they use the Imperial protocols against them. The guy's like, hey, can we get our weapons back? Yeah, you can pick them up later. And we know that that's going to come into play. And boom, chapter 29, we get the action. This is the quasi Battle of Endor. You know, the I would kind of say it's the stormtroopers versus the rebels or Talon's men, and we get an interesting exchange with Lando. We see Lando, he's not always the nice guy. He's like, hey, my friends asked for more time, pulls the gun on him. He's like, give me more time, give them more time. And then Aves is like, oh, you're gonna regret that. I'm gonna remember this. And Lando's like, yeah, you should remember that. So you're just like, it's just like, wow, he knows. Again, there's this code, this honor. He's like, I know what I'm doing seems bad, but I know you're going to hold it against me, and that's fine too. But I believe in my friends. I trust in what they're doing. So it was just this really cool. Again, I thought there's a really cool moment, and up until this point, there's not a lot of times you get that from Lando. Lando's always seems like he's just the ladies' man, the slick guy, but put him under pressure and he's going to draw a blaster and he's going to hold you at gunpoint, you know. So serious cat. Yeah, and then we see that the everybody's so resourceful. Luke trips R2 to get the message out. C-3PO tries to get the message out. You know, everybody's doing their bit. Han with the
this is like
the cuffs, the trick cuffs. You know, it's all coming together. And as much as we think that stormtroopers are cool, we love seeing them get bested. Right? Like, it's just like they can't do anything right. They did everything right by the book, but they're just not ready for people who think outside the box and
I was picturing Han's distraction as when he was running through the Death Star yelling, ah! And then he runs into the stormtroopers like, and then he turns around and runs back. Like, I was thinking, like, he's probably doing something stupid like that, right? Like,
just yelling, I'm a distraction.
Here's a distraction, Luke. Is that enough? Is that enough? So this was cool, but I think the big takeaway from chapter 29 is a Jedi without the Force is still a Jedi. And how cool was Luke just to set up the whole thing, uses the lightsaber to cut down the archway pillars and just gets out of there in the nick of time, crashing the pillars down on those Imperial transports and saving the day. I think no casualties on the bad guys. Lando did get shot, but nobody died. Right, so that was pretty cool, and it was a nice short burst of excitement. Like, you know, the setup was there. We kind of knew because of the description, but it was still rewarding. Like, you know what I mean? Even though it was foreshadowing, just like, it's still described well and whatever. And again, in chapter 30, I love the next line is almost the first line of the first part of chapter 30 is Talon goes to Aves. one man did all this?
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
yeah. And he's like,
Yeah.
and
And
he
without
didn't have
the
access to the Force. Well, that's what he told us. He could be lying. He's like, no, I don't think he would lie to us. But you're just like, they're again so awestruck at what Luke, a Jedi could do even without the Force. So it's so cool. It's building the kind of like the mythology and the legend of a Jedi, and that's gonna go down, and it's just really really a cool chapter again, and cool moments. Lots again happen in chapter 30 because this is Talon knows he can't stay here. His base has been burnt. He had to burn Thrawn. Thrawn again on his Star Destroyer kind of puts it two and two together. It's like, oh, they didn't check in, did they? They're checked in 2 hours late. All right, somebody,
it was Luke.
Yeah,
Luke was there.
Luke was there. Why didn't Talon? Okay, and I think Thrawn was like, I guess Talon is not. What's the word when you play both sides? He's not, he said it, and it was so perfect. Anyways, he says, I guess Card has chosen his side, or he's not ambiguous or whatever. He's and I thought, wow, that was cool, because it was just kind of like matter of fact. It's like, okay, we know where this guy stands now, right? And stuff. We get a really interesting moment with Luke and Han when they're both thanking each other. He's like, oh, thanks for coming get me, and Han's like, well, we didn't really know you were here. But that's okay. And they go on, and he's like, hey, that girl really wants to kill you. Why? and he says, Luke, it's a personal reason, but then he doesn't get into it with Han. Why do you think he doesn't want to tell Han at that point?
I think he felt like it wasn't his story to tell. Like it's not his place to tell Han that like she hates me because of XYZ. If she wants to tell you, that's her choice. She can hate me and we'll operate the same. But yeah, I feel like he maybe thought that it wasn't his story to tell, and it would be overstepping, and then would piss her off a little bit more if like everybody knew,
See, I think that touches it more. Maybe he doesn't want anybody else to know it's not just Han. Because obviously, maybe Talon doesn't know either. But honestly, listen, if someone had a death mark on me and you guys were my posse, I'd be like, yo, so and so wants to kill me because of this. So if you ever see them and I disappear or whatever, or if you see me walking with this person and I don't look comfortable, that's because they want to kill me. So you guys do what you need to do to save me, because this person is. I will not choose to be hanging around with Mara Jade, because she told me
that she wants to wear my skin as a hat. Like, please make it stop.
It's like, it's crazy.
If you need help right now, Andre, just blink 3 times.
Yeah. Is there somebody there with you?
Now I'm worried about you.
So this is chapter 30. We get everybody leaves. And again, wow. We talk about Thrawn playing the chessboard and stuff, but Timothy's on. Let's give him credit. How many, takes did they get here? Again, everything in this book leads up to this moment, from the early building in the chapters of I'm going to attack these 2 systems so that the Republic then sends more ships to the shipyards. They can't send warships because they don't have enough freighters. I'm going to steal these mining craft in order to steal those ships. And then they keep go. And then I am going to get this cloaking device. I'm going to get here. Then he's written, it's just so, oh, hey, Lando's injured. Hey, and your starship, your X-Wing needs repair, Luke. So the closest thing on our way home is to hit the Sluice Van shipyards. All right. Again, it's so plausible. We don't second guess it, because obviously we don't have a galaxy map to know. Was there a closer Canadian Tire for them to take their ship to get fixed at? We don't know, but just sounds totally right. It's just like, yeah, no, that's the closest place. Let's just go. And wow, everything is set up, and we are in for, the battle. Like this is at this moment, we've been teased with other small starship battles earlier, but now this is we've gotten, in the last couple of chapters, we've gotten everything that Star Wars sets out to deliver. We've had a lightsaber, we've had chases with stormtroopers, but now we're getting the spaceship battle, the capital ships. And kudos to Wedge Antilles. This is I guess I'm skipping a little bit to chapter 31, right? So there's only one chapter left, and we got Wedge Antilles. He's just not digging his duty as just man, escort duty sucks. But he's like, hey, why is that ship all by itself?
Yeah, drinking the tea. I love it.
Drinking the tea and arguing with the captain, and knowing that and it's so cool because he's like, yeah, I know I stayed as an X-Wing pilot for a long time, and I refused promotions, so I can't break this guy's balls for being upset with me. So I'm gonna just drink my tea in peace and do my thing. But he senses something, like years of combat training, and just like he's not force sensitive or whatever, but just something doesn't sit right. Hey, ships shouldn't be coming here without an escort. Calls up Rogue Squadron, they go out, and super cool. It's like I'm picturing the Trojan horse effect, but now with TIE fighters just busting out from behind this freighter, and they were the ones that were cloaked, right? So the freighter was just basically putting this bubble, how in my mind, to protect all that stuff. And then
when you go back like a couple chapters, and they say they activate the cloaking shield, and he puts and nothing happened.
And nothing happened.
And in my mind, I'm a pretty decent nerd, right? Like I've been watching sci-fi for a long time. Cloaking usually means like shimmery, invisible, and like nothing happens. So I'm like, well, what the hell is this thing? Like, what are they cloaking? And then even when, the ship comes in and it's like the hull's complete, or the hold is completely empty. And I was still thinking like, well, this is stupid. What the hell's going on? Like, and then like everything like busts out like a piñata. And I was like, oh, they did a little shield on the inside.
Yes, masking all the signatures. No signals get in, no signals get out. Yeah, so it's just super cool. It draws all the attention. Then the capital ships, jump in. And again, we got Luke and the Falcon coming in, towing his X-wing. They have to drop the X-wing off so that they can get in and fight. And you're just like, wow, what's going on? This battle's got so much that you're trying to follow. You're trying to follow Rogue Squadron. You're trying to follow Wedge. Then Wedge is like, what are these little mining things? These little things going on.
Things.
And then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, let's blow one up. And then out of one of them comes a space trooper. Super cool. You're like, what is this? Again, if you played any of the video games from back in the day, it's like this hulking giant stormtrooper in black armor that could fire concussion missiles off his back. So you're like, yo, this thing is a force to be reckoned with. But yeah, everything's just happening, and they catches everybody off guard. But holy crap, how cool was Thrawn's move with the tractor beam? Do you remember that? Remember one of the Imperial ships has just been battered. Its shields go down, and he's like, pull this thing. The tractor beams a ship to protect the flank of the Star Destroyer. I'm just like, God damn, this guy is good.
That was cool.
You're just like, what's going on? And then he's like almost won, and he's thought of everything. He's like, okay, Paleon, we've got 15 of those ships or however. Okay, prepare them to jump out on my signal. And Paleon's like, what? Why are we leaving? Like we've got them on the ropes. And the one thing Thrawn couldn't plan for was Lando being there, or the person that knows those minds. And he puts out that code. And Han Solo's kind of thinking this as he's flying. He's just like, but there's something wrong with this. What are they doing? Why are they, and he's like, you can't take over a ship with 15 stormtroopers in that little mining thing or whatever. And then he's just like, oh my God, they're stealing the ships. They're not trying to destroy them. And it totally changes how they begin to fight. And I'm like, you know, that's what makes these guys like the unorthodox heroes. You know, you have a guy like Han Solo. If that was Akbar, he might not have put 2 and 2 together, right? Like he might have just been like, okay, we've got to just fight them and stop them. But yeah, you know,
for the best.
Yeah. And it was just super, you know, super cool. Lando comes up and he's like, all right, let's get the signal. Let's turn on those mining crafts so they literally embed themselves more into the ship, doing as much damage as possible so that the Empire doesn't get more firepower. And that is like, again, that's like a scary realization, because at that point, the rebellion would, or the New Republic would realize we basically handed them those ships on a silver platter, because we decommissioned them, made them freighters, put a skeleton staff on it. And, you know, so again, that would have been a very hard defeat to swallow. Yeah, you know, and stuff. But yeah, it was really, really cool. Han, you know, thought of that thing. But again, like, you would just look at how freaking smart like Thrawn's plan was, and how close he was to, as he said, that it starts now, the fall of the New Republic, the defeat of the rebellion.
Rebellion,
It starts with the rebellion, starts with this battle.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of solemn in defeat. He knows when he's like, okay, you know what? Okay, I didn't see them doing that, but let's not lose any more resources. And he pulls them back. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're just like, wow, like this has been their first minor and then their first major encounter with this guy, and they only got through it because Lando, Luke, and Han happened. Yeah, like talk about like just literally just, you know, they were rolling the dice, and the New Republic came up with a double sixes, boxcars. Any other combination, there was nothing. Like, could you imagine?
Come on, Andre, it's a natural one. You know they can. You know.
No, I'm saying they rolled, the New Republic rolled high. They rolled the best that they could, just pure luck, the natural 20, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think Thrawn didn't roll a 1. He did everything at this point. It was just that, hey, they just beat his roll. Like, it was just wow, right? So that was, you know, and him not being angry at that, I was just like, I'm more afraid now.
You're right.
You know?
Yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah.
You're like, like somebody's getting it. And at this point, we're like, who can he blame it on? I don't know if he can blame it on anybody, but Pelion might have been, he's probably the easiest and the closest, like the backhand to Pelion, you know, right? Yeah. So it's just like, what? But that doesn't happen. And then the last chapter is just kind of this interlude to what's going on Coruscant, and did they squeak out of this battle that cost them a lot of ships anyways? It wasn't a victory because those ships all need intensive repairs, and there's the possibility, in their own words, of civil war. And the two sides on, are they going to go side with Admiral Akbar's camp, or the Bothan Thalea's camp? So that's how the book ends. That's book 1, finishing with not a victory, but a, shall we say, they pulled it out of the fire, but now they're into the frying pan, going back to the political theater, which could be more vicious than this. Like, I'm sure Han would rather be in a star battle than back
any day.
On that.
Yeah. He'd rather be in carbonite, right?
Yeah.
Like, no
He'd
way.
rather like not have his vision again, just fresh out of the carbonite, than be in that room.
Mm-hmm. So there we have it. That's the 32 chapters, almost 400 pages of Heir to the Empire. So I'm gonna ask a couple more questions. This is the follow-up. I'm gonna start with Jesse. Jesse, favorite character from this book?
Favorite new character or favorite
Favorite character?
return.
No, who's your favorite character?
I'm gonna have to go with Luke, followed closely by Mara.
Okay, all right, Megan.
It's got to be Mara.
Yeah.
I'm vibing with her. I like
You're
her.
vibing with her.
Yeah.
Cool. Scott.
I gotta go old school. I really love the way he wrote Han and just really continued that character true to form, but also how, like you said earlier tonight, like developing. You know, he's going to be a dad, and he's got a little bit of different side to him. But I've really enjoyed getting in depth on that character.
Cool. All right. So the next question: was there any part of this book that caught you off guard in regards to that you wouldn't have expected it in a Star Wars book? Because obviously you guys have seen all the movies and stuff like that. Was there any moment that you're like, oh, no, I'd heard it gone this way or anything like that?
I would say Thrawn, just how smart and how resourceful he is with everything he does, right? How he pieces things together with literally no clues. And I would hate to play the game Clue with him because he'd always be winning, right?
You wouldn't even have to unpack the box.
No. Yeah.
You wouldn't even have to set it up.
Yeah, he would just tell you Jesse dead in the library with a hammer.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, shoot,
He'd be like, what?
guess I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
All right, so Megan, any parts of it that caught you off guard or?
I don't think I was expecting so much politics.
Okay.
Like, because I mean, I know that there's obviously politics involved in Star Wars, but they're kind of parts where I was just like, I don't care about this. So, yeah, in the book, I wasn't expecting it so much, but I like the way that they tied it in all together so that you are still engaged in the politics, even though for the most part, I want to be Han and just like peace out of that.
Dip,
yeah.
All right, Scott.
Yeah, it didn't have anything, but I'll kind of agree with Megan, like Megan and the politics stuff. Like that's not my favorite, but she's right. Zahn wrote it in well, so it kind of flowed good.
And it wasn't like there was an abundance of it, right? So, okay, so two questions left. Predictions for book 2.
I really don't know. I think Card's going to get what's coming to him from Thrawn. And more Luke and Mara hijinks, I think.
Okay. Megan.
Yeah, I think in this one, I think Thrawn's going to have like a big victory for something where
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, where it puts sort of the rebels kind of on the back foot, where they're just like, oh crapola, like we gotta deal with this guy because they don't even know that it's Thrawn.
They don't know.
We got to deal with this commander or Grand Admiral who seems to have his crap together, and that's why they have all these victories suddenly where they weren't before. So I feel like Thrawn's going to have a major victory, and that's going to propel us into the third book where the rebels will have to band together and like do some different types of politicking in order to be successful. But,
roll a natural 20 again.
Yeah.
All right, Scott, what about you? Any predictions for book 2?
I have a feeling book 2 is too early to have babies, so I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm curious. I do have a vested interest as an obstetrician gynecologist, but I think there's the politics. I don't know if it'll get heavier, but I see that sort of civil war starting, and I think that will lead to what Megan was saying about like and just to maybe like getting like Thrawn getting a victory based on the fact that it's going to be the rebels are going to be kind of fighting each other, or I guess they're not the rebels, the Republic.
Cool. All right. So I already asked before that, and we know that you guys have all enjoyed the book so far, and are glad that you read it, and that you would recommend it to people out there if you're listening and haven't read it, because again, as we talked spoilers, we didn't go into super detail, and even if we did go into super detail, we are not Timothy Zahn writing as we're talking. Trust me, there's you could still read this and enjoy every page of it. But I'm going to throw a question out there to you about the Star Wars movie sequels, sorry, not prequels. How does this one book line up with Force Awakens, or what they could have done in a
Ugh.
Jesse?
I wish I had the DVD with me and a garbage can, and I would put the DVD in the garbage can, and then proceed to read the next book.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm of the same mind. And I actually I didn't hate those movies, but that was somebody who watched them who hadn't watched the other Star Wars, or who hadn't consumed the Star Wars stuff as in depth as I did. So I didn't hate them. I thought they were entertaining-ish, but they did nothing compared to this book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, they went with Rey, and I like to see the sort of the female, lead, and sort of the powerful female lead. Obviously, she's developing in that first movie, but I mean, she has a big role. But I feel like they could have done that with something like this with Mara. Now I get it. Mara's kind of a bad guy, but you still could have had that strong female character in, and you have Leia, right? Leia's been there the whole time too, but they could have done that with this, and to just go with that, it was basically like Star Wars with Rey replacing Luke, and it just didn't work as well.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, again, thank you so much for reading this, and we are going to be on to the next book. And maybe we'll change up the format for it, because I think once we start the next book, it really motors, and we don't have to cover introductions. So maybe we'll do a little bit different section. Instead of going chapter by chapter, we'll just go with kind of sections and chunks, and see how we feel. And hey, out there, if you guys are listening and watch and enjoy the videos, you can comment below and maybe tell us what you would like us, how you would like us to do it, because these conversations are great, but we're also doing it for the benefit of people out there who maybe have not read the book, or have read the book and didn't have a group of people to discuss it with. So this is an open book club, as we like to say. So thank you for tuning in and watching. I hope you've enjoyed our review of Heir to the Empire, book 1 of the Thrawn trilogy by Timothy Zahn. And I guess definitely last but not least, rating out of 10. Jesse?
9.
Megan?
It's a 10 out of 10.
All right. Scott?
I feel like I got to save something for book 2 and 3, so I'm gonna say 9.
There we go. Awesome. So there you guys have it. We've got 9, 9, 9, and a 9, 9, 10. I'm gonna give it a 9 as well, because it's freaking awesome. So hopefully that's influenced you into checking out this book, because it is, if you like Star Wars and have not read it, do yourself a favor and pick it up. I also hear the audio book is also excellent, so you could try that if you're not into reading. But you will, if you read this, trust me, you will hear the soundtrack, you will hear the sound effects, you will see your characters' faces and hear their voices. That's how well written this book is if you're a Star Wars fan. So thank you very much for joining us, and we will end it as always with May the Force be with you. Thank you.